Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I am talking about retired life in the world's cheapest country. Guys, it's really not a secret anymore. I think that Vietnam is an incredible place to retire to for so many reasons. Lots of retirees are flocking here now, and it is just such an incredible place for a lot of reasons, which we're going to talk about here in just a moment. But I'm Allie. If you've not been here before, welcome to the channel. I've been traveling the world full-time for about 8 years now with my husband. We retired from our regular 9-to-5 life in Atlanta, Georgia, and hit the road. And we've been to over 60 countries. And as you probably have realized on this channel, Asia is probably one of our favorite areas to stay in long term. We do stay for 1 month at a time, at least 1 month or more in each place, as opposed to just kind of traveling through a week or two at a time. We try to maximize the visas in each place, and that's one of the things here in Vietnam is the visa options. There are lots of different types of visa options. There is a new one on the horizon that they're calling the Golden Visa. No details yet on that one, but we'll be definitely keeping an eye on that one and see if it's something that's going to be viable for us, because we do love coming to Vietnam, and as I said, there's so much here. If you love the beach, you can have the beaches. If you love the mountains, you can have the mountains. If you love the big cities, you can have the big cities. And if you want the small, quaint villages, you can have those too. So you can visit all of those, or you can pick one, whatever your favorite is, to stay in. Vietnam has all of that to offer and so much more. We've traveled the entire country from top to bottom. We've not been to every city, but we have been to all the different regions. I'm gonna start out, this isn't the order we visited in, but I'm gonna start out in the north and work my way down to the south. So we're gonna talk about some places in the north that you can visit. And one of the first places that we went to, we really wanted to get a real taste of the real Vietnam without as many tourists around. And so we decided on a small place called Vinh Yên. It's about 45 minutes northeast of Hanoi. So we flew into Hanoi and we got a car, went up to Vinh Yên, and we stayed at the Crown Plaza there. And we actually stayed there for 40 days, got an incredible deal at the hotel there, and with the lounge access, got food. And the really cool thing about some place like Vinh Yên is that we stuck out like sore thumbs, but in the best way possible. We would go out into town, and it was really kind of a spectacle every time we went out. Not people saying things to us except for the kids, but just you could see everyone was very curious about us. And I'm sure they were thinking, what in the world are these people doing here? But they were so nice and so kind, and they always shared a smile with us. And when we were out shopping and things like that, grocery shopping, kids would come up and practice English with us, which was really cool. And you could see the pride on their parents' faces that their kid was being able to practice English with English speakers. So it was really kind of a cool experience for us. Vinh Yên was definitely a unique place. It's in the mountains, and it's actually really close to the Chinese border, as well as these other two places that we went to in the north as well. From Vinh Yên, we went over to Ha Long Bay. Ha Long Bay, you've probably heard of if you've looked at anything for Vietnam. You've seen the beautiful pictures of the gorgeous Ha Long Bay, and it's such a, it just has such a cool feel to it. It's kind of a, if I'm thinking about it, like equate it to something in the U.S. like a Martha's Vineyard type thing. It feels like a quaint fishing village, but affordable. Martha's Vineyard is not really affordable, but Ha Long Bay is, and there's so many different options there. We actually stayed on a hotel that was on an island in the bay, which is mind-boggling to me that we could even do something like that. It was incredibly affordable and included our meals there as well. So it was really, really a unique experience. You check in on land right by, right at the edge of the bay. And then they have taxis. The hotel has water taxis, and they take you across and then put you in a golf cart, take you to the entrance, check you in, and then you've got your, and then you go to your room. They have everything on the island there, but you can always take a taxi. It's open 24 hours, the water taxi, so you can always take a taxi to and from the mainland. We're talking about just a few minutes ride across the bay, so it doesn't take that long. We absolutely loved Halong Bay because it was, again, another quaint village type feel, even though it does get a lot of visitors, obviously. Day trippers from Hanoi come up as well, or people coming to take the cruises, but it was just an amazing place. It was so beautiful. And I know it sounds kind of cheesy to say, but it was actually quite magical to be there. Absolutely loved it. Already have our return trip to Halong Bay planned for later this year. And then, of course, from Halong, we headed back to the big city, to Hanoi. And you know what I think is so interesting about Hanoi is that it is not really, it is a big city, obviously, but it doesn't feel like such a big city. I guess because it's not riddled with skyscrapers and high rises. Sure, there's like 2 skyscrapers and a few high rises, but for the most part, it still has that old city feel, like kind of the old towns in places where they then built the big city around it. This still is the whole city, basically, is kind of that old town feel. And I love that because it feels like it's broken up more into little chunks as opposed to big chunks. We went to a couple different parts of the city. We did stay in one of the high rises. We stayed at the Landmark 72, and that was incredible. But we also stayed in Westlake. So we just wanted a taste of a couple different places in Hanoi, a couple different neighborhoods to kind of try out and see what areas we really liked there. But really enjoyed it. Loved the coffee culture in Hanoi. Literally everywhere you went, if you love coffee like me, then you would absolutely love the coffee culture in Hanoi. I mean, really the coffee culture is everywhere in Vietnam, but it just felt really intense and really, dedicated in Hanoi. From there, we're going to head down to the central areas. And here we're going to talk about Da Nang, which a lot of people have heard of, also Cam Ranh and Nha Trang. And if you love the beach, this is the place for you. Now in the north, the temperatures, especially in the winter time, it's going to be a little bit cooler because you're so much closer to the mountains. You're right, as I mentioned earlier, you're just like, especially in Halong, I think you're only like 45 minutes to the Chinese border. So if you wanted to visit, if that was something that interested you, you could do that from someplace like Halong by car, because a lot of Chinese tourists come in that way as well. But in the central areas, the temperatures are more comparable to someplace like a Florida or even a California, but with more humidity, of course. But the temperatures are really quite nice. And the only thing really to think about in this area is monsoon season, avoiding monsoon season because they do get a lot of rain during monsoon season, and in some areas it does cause some flooding, like in Hoi An. The infrastructure is not quite fully there to avoid something like that, so flooding does become a disruptive thing in your time in Hoi An if you're there during monsoon season. Da Nang, the infrastructure is considerably better. We did stay in several different areas in Da Nang to try out, staying right by the beach, try out the city center, and it was really quite lovely in both sides. I would lean more towards staying closer to the beach because you can really walk almost all of it, in all honesty. We did walk, over the bridges and to the beach from the city center, and from the beach back to the city center. Really not a big deal. Plus, it is super easy to just get a grab, a car, and honestly, I don't know that we ever paid more than a couple dollars, other than to the airport. That ride was a little bit more like, I think, $6 or $8. But riding around in the city from one side to the other, you're really only going to pay a couple dollars, US dollars, to ride the car. And the traffic is not that bad. It's not like in the big cities. Even during rush hour, it's really not that bad at all. The airport in Da Nang is very close to the city, so it's not like a super long ride either to get like to the beach. When we arrived, we were staying at a beach hotel, and we rode from the airport to the Voco, and it was about 15-20 minutes. And it was during rush hour, because it was, I think we arrived at like 5:30 or something like that. So, the traffic is not a huge concern there, and transportation is not a huge concern, even though there's not a ton of public transportation. You can walk to a lot of places, and if not, you can always take a car for a very cheap price. So we really enjoyed Da Nang, so much to do there, and just the beach vibe was incredible. When you're on the beach, they have that beautiful, long, wide boardwalk that you can walk on. It was really quite fantastic, and the beaches there are beautiful and clean, so definitely don't miss out on that. Hoi An was nice. I did a video comparing Hoi An to Da Nang. A lot of people try to decide where to stay between those two. Hoi An is more of a quaint village type feel, but the issue there's a couple of issues there. One that I mentioned earlier, during monsoon season, flooding is a really big problem in Hoi An. The other issue, which I would have a hard time getting over, and I know several people have said the same thing as well, it is just so touristy, like just hordes of buses coming in every single day with a lot of tourists, kind of mowing through. So if you were looking for some place, it's kind of disappointing a little bit, because it's a cute, quaint village. It's so beautiful, and it should be peaceful, but it isn't, because there are so many people there all the time, not just during the day, but even more so at night, for the lanterns on the river. So definitely keep that in mind when trying to decide between those two. Other places we went to as well was to Cam Ranh. This is more of a quaint place. It's not a big city, but it is at the beach. So if you're looking for some place to just get away quietly, which is what we did, we just rented a little villa right on the beach with a pool, and it was amazing. We really loved it here. And just really enjoyed our time. That's actually where I am right now, in Cam Ranh. This is our villa that we rented here for $100 a day, which was crazy. And then from here, heading over to Nha Trang. Again, you're on the beach there, a little bit smaller city than Da Nang, but the beaches are also beautiful there, and you'll have a lot more variety than someplace like Cam Ranh. Cam Ranh is more it's more comparable to someplace like Hoi An, and Nha Trang is more comparable to someplace like Da Nang. So from the central areas, then we're going to head on down to the south, and we're going to head to, of course, you do have option here in the south also of the islands. There's several islands down in the south here, like Phu Quoc, that you can go to and visit, and just hang out. If you want the island life, hang out there. Lots of options there. But if you're looking for a big city, then Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City, is the place for you. Saigon has everything. It has a variety of everything. It's one of the things that I loved about it. It was such an active community. It's one of the very first things that I noticed. People just, exercising in the mornings or in the evenings, walking, running, biking. I just really loved that about it. And then the other thing is just that it may feel chaotic at first if you're not used to a big city, but Saigon is just one of those places that just really stays with you, because it just has, there's just so much there, and the people are just so fun and so kind there. It's such a vibrant city, and it's vibrant. It feels like it's just full of life at all times. There is, as I said, something for everyone there. The food, the culture. They do have a great coffee culture here as well as in Hanoi. Very similar, the two. So really incredible experience in Saigon. Again, this one is one that we have added into our rotation to visit regularly because we love it so much. It's just such a great place to be. And if you're retired, it's got a lot of options for retirees. If you're living here long term, sometimes you do want a little bit of variety outside of the local fare of the local cuisine. And they do have a lot of options. We've had Chicago deep dish pizza that I couldn't have told you the difference between that and actual Chicago deep dish pizza in Chicago. It was amazing. We've had Cuban sandwiches. We've had Mexican tacos, burritos, all kinds of stuff, French cuisine. They have everything. And I think that's the coolest thing about it, is that you can have a little bit of everything. If you want a little bit of home or try cuisine from someplace else, that is so cool, because Ho Chi Minh has that to offer. And as I mentioned before, one of the places, if you love coffee, you do not want to miss is the Apartment Cafe. Tons of, not just cafes there, but tons of restaurants there as well. We went to a steakhouse and it was so good. The food was absolutely incredible there. We really enjoyed it, and highly recommend checking out the apartment cafes. You can probably make your way through all of the restaurants and cafes in there just in your time in Saigon, if you're close to it or if you can get to it easily. Now, the transportation here is a little bit more challenging. They did just put in a metro, but it does not cover the whole of the city. So it still can be a little bit challenging to get around. The traffic is a little bit intense. Motorbikes are overwhelming. I did do motorbike tour, and it was quite an experience. I just wanted to try it out one time. People still tell me that they think I'm a little bit crazy because I tried this, but I had a great time. It was so much fun, and just really love the culture and just the feel of Saigon. I'm a big city lover, and Saigon had every single thing that I wanted in a big city in it. And so I just highly recommend it if that's something that you enjoy. But, you know, if you don't, that's no problem, because there's all the other places I talked about with so many different things to offer. You just kind of pick and choose, and that's the beauty of retiring in Vietnam. You can live here for as little as $1,000 a month, even $1,500 a month for everything, and have a really good, a really good quality of life. You can go all the way up to as much as you want to spend and really have a high quality of life, really good standard of things, like really nice apartment with, great modern amenities, pools, and the apartment we had in Saigon even had a dishwasher in it, which was an absolute dream. We've not had a lot of apartments or even stays anywhere in Southeast Asia where we had dishwashers. I think maybe like 3 or 4 total in all the years we've been traveling around Asia. But it was it's great, and it's amazing that you can get all those modern amenities. Obviously, the more modern and more centralized the accommodation, the more it's going to be, but not always necessarily. I mean, everything kind of has a downside, right? When you're getting places, some of them are going to have, less amenities and maybe less desirable area, or maybe less desirable like neighbors. Like, say, if your apartment is next to a local restaurant and you hear the dishes banging all the time, all day while they're, cleaning and kind of talking back and forth to each other and stuff. So just keep in mind, those are some things to, it's really not that much different than if you're looking for some place to live in the U.S. But the nice thing is that you can always move on to the next place. That's the beauty of this kind of lifestyle without signing a big long-term lease, which you can do also and get cheaper places if you sign a longer lease. But if you're not sure and you want to try a place out, better to sign something or just get something for a shorter term, try it out. And if you love it, then try to get a long lease for some place like that. That's usually what we try to go with, so that we can try someplace out without having to, commit to a long-term lease. Whereas in the U.S., if you're buying a home, then obviously you're stuck there. We had one house we owned where, the neighbors were really challenging the entire time we lived there. So that's the thing here, is you can just try places out and not worry about, oh, I'm stuck with this place forever. So hopefully, guys, this information was helpful to retiring in Vietnam, one of the cheapest countries to come to for retirement. Guys, let me know down in the comments if you have any questions. If you're looking for visa options, there's lots of different visa options out there, so check those out as well. Let me know if you enjoyed this video by hitting the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more information on traveling around Asia, and I'll see you guys next time.